There is a certain permanence to college football. It's one of America's oldest sports. It was being played before any professional sports leagues were ever formed, predating the formation of baseball's National League by 7 years. Many of the teams we watch and root for today have been playing football for well over 100 years. And in college football, your favorite team will never relocate. It's a sport built on legacy and tradition. And yet this same sport, one of the few constants over the past century and a half, is never stagnant. Off the field, conference realignment continues to reshape the college football landscape. On the field, as long as football has existed, offenses have been thinking of new ways to get the ball into the end zone, and defenses have been thinking of new ways to stop them. This 150-year chess match has given us brilliant innovations, but few that were more impactful and intriguing than the Wishbone. This is the story of one of the greatest offenses ever devised. In the 1970s and 80s, in the days before streaming, multiple networks dedicated to sports, and even cable, all you had were the three classic networks: NBC, CBS, and ABC. But if you tuned in to one of those three on a Saturday, you had a decent chance of seeing a Wishbone team. And chances were that that team was dominant. A Wishbone team still holds the NCAA record for most rushing yards in a game. A Wishbone team still holds the NCAA record for rushing yards per game in a single season. In the 70s and 80s, Wishbone teams produced winning streaks of 30 games and 28 games twice. The Wishbone produced 7 national champions in an 11-year span and frequently led the nation in rushing offense and scoring offense. With results like that, one can't help but agree with Mike Leach's assertion. But where did it come from? And how did it take college football by storm? The Wishbone was the intellectual successor of the split T, a formation developed by Don Farrow at the University of Missouri in 1941. The split T featured a quarterback under center and the backs lined up side by side behind him. The offense spread around the country and was a staple of college football by the 1950s. It was the favorite formation of Oklahoma head coach Bud Wilkinson, who rode it to a 47-game winning streak from 1953 to 1957, still an NCAA record. In the mid-50s, a high school coach named Emory Ballard started tinkering with it. Ballard made one simple change. He moved the fullback up 2 steps, so the T now resembled a Y, or a wishbone. The formation made its way around the country at the high school level, but it wasn't until 1967 that it would make its way into the college football world. That year, Ballard was hired by Texas head coach Darrell Royal, a former quarterback under Bud Wilkinson at Oklahoma, who led the Sooners to an undefeated season in 1949. The secret behind Ballard's attack lay in its ability to put strain on nearly every defender on the field. The base play of the Wishbone was the triple option. The first option is the fullback dive. A defensive lineman or linebacker is often left unblocked. If that defender crashes down on the fullback, the quarterback pulls it. If not, he gives it. Second, the quarterback will read an edge defender, usually a defensive end. If he crashes down on the quarterback, he'll pitch it to the trailing halfback. That's option 2. The lead halfback becomes the lead blocker on the play and is able to block the player who is responsible for the pitchman or the quarterback. If the defensive end goes after the pitchman, the quarterback will keep it. Option 3. This means that 2 defenders are taken out of the play without having to be blocked, freeing up blockers to help elsewhere. This puts incredible strain on the defense. Not only must the defense be able to simultaneously defend the inside run and the outside run, the Wishbone is designed to make sure that whatever the defender does, he is always wrong. The triple option could be run out of the split T too, but it was slower and less effective. For example, the dive was run by a halfback instead of a fullback. Since he was deeper than a Wishbone fullback would be, the play would take longer to develop. This also made the fullback the lead blocker, but coming from the middle of the formation made it difficult to block the defender responsible for the pitchman. Also, the triple option in the split T wasn't a true triple option, because according to former Oklahoma quarterback Jay O'Neal, the decision to give or fake the dive was always made pre-snap. In contrast, the Wishbone accounts for every defender on the field, and its version of the triple option makes the defense wrong no matter what it does. This was the attack Royal hoped to bring to Austin. The Sooner-turned-Longhorn promoted Ballard to offensive coordinator before the '68 season and began installing the Wishbone. The Longhorns had won a national title in 1963 running the wing T, which takes one of the halfbacks and puts him on the tackle's outside hip, much like where you'd see an H-back or tight end today. However, the success of the wing T faded. Royal switched to the I formation with little success. His hope was that Ballard's new scheme would do the trick. And it did. But the Longhorns first had to work out some of the bugs in the system. In 1968, the Longhorns started out slow, tying 11th-ranked Houston in their season opener and then losing to unranked Texas Tech. But a change at quarterback caused all the pieces to fall into place. In other offensive systems, such as the split T, the quarterback was not the star of the show. Unlike today, where the quarterback is unquestionably the most important player on the field, it wasn't always so. In the split T, the quarterback wasn't much more than just another member of the backfield. But in the Wishbone, the quarterback was the key. He had to be able to make split-second decisions on whether to give, keep, or pitch. A split second of hesitation could lead to disaster, but a perfectly timed pitch could lead to a 60-yard touchdown. And the quarterback had to be quick enough to get to the edge. Not every quarterback could play in this system. Athleticism was required. For Texas, the Wishbone was the shiny new car, but they needed a new driver. In their third game of the year, they put the aptly named James Street in the driver's seat. After scoring only 20 and 22 points against Houston and Texas Tech respectively, Texas reeled off 9 straight wins, including a victory over number 8 Tennessee in the Cotton Bowl. The rest of the year, Texas wouldn't score less than 26 points. In 1967, Texas had averaged 19 points per game. In 1968, they averaged 35. In 1969, the Longhorns were unstoppable, demolishing almost every single team they played. Through the first 9 games of the season, Texas averaged a mind-boggling 44 points per game. In 1969, offenses did not score like this. This was almost unheard of. But a big roadblock stood between Texas and a national championship. The undefeated and second-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, whose defense yielded only 7 points per game. For the first 3 quarters, Texas couldn't get anything going on offense. 5 Texas turnovers and some nifty Arkansas passing led to a 14-0 Razorback lead entering the 4th period. But the Wishbone came to life, and the Longhorns scored on a 42-yard scramble by Street. The Longhorns capped off their 8-play, 90-yard drive with a successful 2-point conversion. A couple drives later, on 4th down, James Street uncorked a 44-yard bomb to put Texas within striking distance. 2 plays later, a halfback dive would tie the game, and the extra point would give the Longhorns the lead in their second national championship.
That proves you deserve to be number 1, and that's what you are.
A victory over Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl was the icing on the cake. In 1970, Texas needed a new quarterback. In spite of this, they still averaged 41 points per game, while only being challenged by number 13 UCLA and Baylor in the regular season. The Longhorns lost to Notre Dame 24-11 in the Cotton Bowl, giving Nebraska the AP National Championship. But at the time, the UPI poll chose its national champion before bowl games, making Texas back-to-back national champions. From 1968 to 1970, Texas would go 30-1, winning national titles in 1969 and 1970. One of the victims of Texas's unstoppable attack was the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma had fallen on hard times in the 60s by Oklahoma standards. By 1970, head coach Chuck Fairbanks and his entire staff were in danger of being fired, and Oklahoma had only beaten Texas 1 time since 1958. His offensive coordinator, Barry Switzer, took a look at the roster and realized there was one thing Oklahoma had that other teams didn't: speed. What formation could better utilize that asset than the Wishbone? But nobody on the Oklahoma staff knew how to run it. They had watched a lot of film, but there were still some crucial pieces of the puzzle they didn't have. They were going to need help, and they would get it from the unlikeliest of sources.